Director Gila, Trustee Ian Risley, Pastor Sigana Raymond, thank you very much for those very eloquent words of introduction. I'm delighted to be here, and I'm delighted to say Mabu Hai. I don't think anyone in the world is as affectionate and as warm and as enthusiastic as the Filipinos. And nobody else wants so many photos. This is a great nation, a wonderful country, and it's always a pleasure to come here because you feel like being a Filipino when you're here. Why do I come to pets? Why is it that I ask for a multi-district pets? Because I want an opportunity to speak to the president-elects of next year. How many of you here are president-elects? Put your hand up high. Good. Now if I don't get you together, how else can I speak to president-elects? And as I was saying yesterday, if my plans go well, and I can keep to the schedules without missed flights and so on, in the next 3 months, I will speak to 14,000 president-elects approximately. Now, why am I doing that? Because if you do well, I look good. If you don't do well, then my neck is gone. So my future next year as a president of Rotary International relies on you. You perform, and I'm going to be king. So you're going to do me a great favor in doing well. I was a president of my club in 1987. It seems so long ago. And I can tell you that was the turning point of my own life. I'm not sure why I agreed to be president. They asked me and I guess I agreed. Sometimes we have problems finding presidents. You also have problems? Oh, so it's not a Sri Lankan problem, it's also a Filipino problem. So I guess it's a universal problem because Rotarians are willing to work but would rather do the work without being president of the club. But I want to tell you that when I became a president, it transformed my life like nothing else. And when I was president, I remembered my old rugby coach's wisdom. He said, if you want the size of success measured, it must be by the strength of your desires, by the size of your dreams, and how you handle disappointments on the way. So in other words, not everything works out the way you planned. Sometimes things don't just come right, as it happened to me when I organized a very big cricket tournament with world stars involved. And because my country was having a lot of civil problems at that time, when one of the cricket teams was in Colombo, a bomb went off just outside their hotel. And the naval commander, in fact, was killed by a suicide bomber right in the heart of Colombo. And the team got scared and went off, and my whole tournament got cancelled. After making all the arrangements, after inviting the president of the country, after having all the, the build-up to it. So you can imagine what a big blow it was to me as president, just when I began, because all the plans were done prior to taking over. But you can't let it hold you back. And I made up my mind that we shall continue, we shall complete what we planned. And good president-elects will start planning now without interfering with the club. It's important you support your president, but you must get your plans right. And we already had some other plans in place. For example, you heard Raymond introducing me as a founder president of Sri Lanka Anti-Narcotics Association. Now that association was started when I was president of my club. It was started by my club because we found that there were agencies to deal with drug addicts, But far better is to stop people becoming drug addicts. And that's what we decided to do. So we set up this association, which was really based on the Singapore Anti-Narcotics Association. And we set it up on the basis that this will be sustainable. That after I finish my presidency, after many presidents come, it will still go on. So we brought in outsiders, we set up a trust, we set this, I was the first president, but very soon afterwards, non-Rotarians became presidents. And this association today has 34,000 members. And it's the largest anti-narcotics agency in my country. And it was all due to my Rotary Club. So you can imagine how good I feel. How proud I feel. Now the second ambition I had was that I needed to get my members involved. I needed to get them involved. It was not necessary that they only write checks. And because I come from a large club, I come from a club which has the most prominent people in Colombo, the capital city of Sri Lanka. They all are very good at writing checks, no problems. But when you tell them to come for the project, it becomes a little more difficult. So we devised this project where we went to the city mayor, like the mayor who just came, told him, we want you to isolate and give us your park, the big park we have, like Rizal Park in Makati, in Manila. Give it to us for a day, close it to everyone else. He said, why would you do that? We can't do that. I said, well, listen, we are going to bring in 1,000 children, or approximately that much, from all parts of the country, from orphanages and so on. And we are going to give them the treat of their lives for one day. So he thought and he said, okay, we'll do that, because it was also good political mileage for him and for his party. And so that's what we did. Now, arranging the logistics was the easy part. Because you write checks, you get a transport contractor, they will give the addresses, there is some ministry or something which has all the addresses, and that's the easy part. The difficult part was when I laid down the condition that for this, to entertain these children, the food must be prepared in your homes. No ordering food out. Ordering food is very easy. You have to make the food at home. Now, of course, they all grumbled. They're saying this fellow is mad, what is wrong with him? It is so easy, if I write order from so-and-so, they'll deliver it straight to the park. But we said no. So then the wife said to me, at that time there were no ladies in Rotary, the wife said to me, and sort of organize themselves, so say you do this, you do the sandwiches, you do some other sandwiches, someone else do meatballs and so on. And they had to get a cake, they had to get the numbers right. So the wives had to get very involved in this project. And what's better, because the wives were involved and they were coming on this Sunday, the husbands had to give up their golf and everything else and come with the wives. So we had all these bank chairmen and all these CEOs of big companies sitting there in the park with us. And it was fun to see people carrying children, putting them up on merry-go-rounds, taking them off horsebacks, sitting and clapping when the magic show was going on. I thought never in Colombo have you seen captains of industry, captains of business and their wives enjoying themselves so much. And you see, what happened was, we realized that day that it was not about us. It was about other people. And the club suddenly understood what its real power was. The manner in which Rotary operates, you start getting energized by what happens. We began to start thinking bigger, and that is something that came with me after I left my presidency and went on. I suddenly realized, for example, that raising money is not such a big thing. I'll tell you, when the tsunami hit us, 60,000 people died. Then immediately Rotary went into action. I think we reacted faster than anyone else. We took antibiotics, we took bandages, we cleaned out wells, we discovered that if we just going and cleaning a well is no use. We got a couple of Land Rovers, we put sludge pumps, and we found that if we go and really took out all the water from the well, new water came in rather than just sending bottles and bottles of water to these people. So we used our brains and we started doing a lot of things in a very scientific manner in which you run your company. For example, we rented a warehouse. We put one of the past governors in charge of the warehouse. We had someone operating the airport. All the 8 FKB went into the warehouse. It was catalogued. We introduced PIN cards. We told the Rotarians, you go do the work, just tell us what you need, we deliver. So it started working very well. Then we had a meeting and we said, what is the use of giving immediate relief? You want to do something long term. You want to be able to say when your children come and talk to you, what did you do when the tsunami hit you? You want to say, this is what we did. You can't just say, oh, we sent bandages, we sent water. So we looked at 3 or 4 areas where we could help. One was housing, one was boats, because all the boats got destroyed. One was infrastructure, roads were gone, telecom wires were gone, and one was schools. We picked schools because we thought schools is perennial. Forever and ever, if you do some good, they will always remember Rotary. And so we decided to build 25 schools. We had no idea what costs were. Well, we did some calculations, finally came up with a rough estimate of $12 million. Now, when you translate $12 million into Sri Lanka rupees, or for that matter Filipino pesos, there are so many zeros that will go to the paper. So we said, let's keep this in dollars, not change it into rupees and pesos and so on. And they asked me, how are we going to find the money? We will find it. And so I went to see my bank manager. Standard Chartered Bank was a bank which my company works with. And I told him, his name was Vishnu Mohan. He was a Canadian domiciled Tamil. And I went to see him and I said, Vishnu, I have a great deal for you. And he said, what, come, sit. He gave me a coffee and all that. And you see, my attitude is, at the worst, whatever I ask, if he doesn't give, at least I get a free cup of coffee and I come off, right? I have nothing to lose. So I told him, how would you like your bank to be involved in a project where every child there has only your passport, where every child has your piggy bank, where every child learns only Standard Chartered Bank and knows nothing else, where the child goes to the parents and says, see, this is my Standard Chartered Bank piggy bank. Look at the brand value. I mean, good, isn't it? He said, how many schools? I said, well, let's say 25 schools. Let's say 15,000 children. He said, that sounds good, but there must be a catch. What is the catch? I said, catch is we need some money. Then he thought, and he knows me well, so he knew that he might get hit hard. So he leaned back in his chair and said, how much are you looking at? I think he thought I would probably say about $100 or $150,000. And then I was sitting back, I leaned forward, and I told him, Vishnu, this deal to you is worth $1 million. That's what I'm looking at. He said, what, $1 million? He sort of almost collapsed. He said, I have to think about it. Again, my thinking was, if I asked him $100,000, he'll give me $50,000. If I asked $1 million, I thought I might get $500,000. So he said, it's a good deal, but I have to refer to my head office in London. And I said, well, just think about it. Look at the brand value, look at the value that Standard Chartered Bank is bringing. I'm not asking for a favor, I'm giving him a deal. 2 days later he called and said, you have your $1 million. You have, not only that, not only the $1 million, they said, my head office has instructed me that we will be your partners, we will give you the office space, we will give you the computers, we will give you the entire infrastructure and you can operate from here. So we made Standard Chartered Bank our partner. And then we created this website and this presentation. I myself made presentations, others made presentations. And we raised $12 million in 10 months. And we finished building the schools in 3 years. Beautiful schools. I think I sent the pictures to Gila, in the magazines and so on. The point I'm making is that we are not asking people for favors. Just imagine, I have this theory that we have 1 million Rotarians around the world. Let's imagine only 300,000 of them are doing work, rest of them are not working. Let's imagine that each one of them is, let's say, paid $30 or $40 a day. That's because people like me earn only $5 and people like Ian Risley earn about $10,000 a day. So averaging out to 40, they already must be working $5,000, $6,000 a day, I don't know. So let's average it out at 40 into $1 million. How much is that? How much? Who's the accountant here? 40 into $1 million, how much? No, 40 to 300,000. 1.2 million a day. Am I right? Yes. Right. Into 30 days, how much? How much? Into 12 months, how much? About $400 billion. Right. Now that's what we bring to the table. So when we talk about a worldwide project, when we go to Bill Gates and say Rotarians will work with you, he's giving $100 million, we are bringing to the table $300-400 million a year. Never forget that. Raising money is the easiest thing. And I learned it when I was president of my club. And that's what I want you to remember when you're president. The same thing happened with polio. We needed $5 million. I spoke to the chairman of the trustees then. The only person I knew. Those days to me, Evanston was somewhere up in the skies. We didn't know Evanston someplace in America. That's all I knew. But I knew one person of the trustees. And I said, we need $5 million. If you give us this money, we can become the first country in Asia to become polio free. Because we are literate, we are a small country, our immunization levels are high, we got a good health system, but we need this money. So they said, it's too much money to give one country. Even I asked only $1.5 million. Too much money to give one country, because at that time it was a big amount. Now of course we give out much larger amounts. At that time you might give $1 million to a big place like India. So to Sri Lanka ask 1.5 was a big ask. Anyway, they agreed. And then we had a conference. We had the health minister, foreign minister, hosted by the health minister in his office. A very big conference of about 7 people. US ambassador, British High Commissioner, Japanese ambassador, UNICEF, WHO, and 2 others. And I spoke and I said, this is what we need. And I said, I'm not coming to you with a begging bowl. We are putting up $1.5 million. We had the balance 3.5 in about 3 minutes from the rest. Raising money is easy if you have got a good project and you can sell it with passion. That's what I want you to remember, the presidency elects. You must understand the power within you. You need to know that you have been given the greatest gift, perhaps in your life, by asking you to lead your club. 30, 40, 50, 60 Rotarians who are going to rely on you. You're going to be the leader, you're going to be the counselor, you're going to be the guide, you're going to be the captain, you're going to be everything to them for the next 1 year. Of course, being a president is a challenge. It's a responsibility. Sometimes you have gray hairs. 1 or 2 days you might lose some sleep. But so what if you lose a little sleep in 365 days for a day or 2? You've got 300 days to catch up. So it's also an incredible, it's an incomparable gift that you're getting. And it's a life-changing opportunity, like I discovered. You see, if you go to those who are in business, I always say that if you went to Stanford or Kellogg's or Harvard for a 3 months or 4 months business course, the bill is $35,000 to $40,000, only tuition fees. I am saying by being president of your club, you get it for free what you learn in Harvard. For nothing, because you are learning to manage peers. The skills of management that you learn, you put back in your real life as a professional. You never get a chance like this. You learn to manage peers. You learn to identify projects, then raise the funds for the projects, and then manage those projects. You also have a fixed time limit by which your job must be done. You also find that when you enter the year, you've got to hand over. Even if you wanted to, like our political friends, you can't say on June 30th you have done. Even if you pray, you won't get it. July 1st, there's someone else. So you don't learn these things in Harvard. You don't learn it in Stanford, but you learn it for something for free in your Rotary clubs. You see, you can do so much if you choose to do so. Don't think I had any great abilities when I became a president. I was just an ordinary guy trying to build up a business. And at that time, my business was small. And I'll tell you, those who say that I'm too busy, I can't, I say that's a lot of rubbish. I think I'm a standing example of a person who's built a business exactly during my lifetime as a Rotarian. I joined Rotary in 1974, and with God's grace, I have a business which I started in about 1980, which is today, in its field, in its small field, is number one in the world. So being Rotarian doesn't mean you screw up your business or your profession. You can do both. We have the ability to do that. In fact, one helps the other. And later when we talk about membership, I'll tell you how. So, I'm just an average guy who had average abilities. Trustee Ian Brisley, whom I rely on a lot for advice, brilliant man, who also started with literally nothing. And he's become trustee. He's been director, he's been treasurer. So if anyone says, I have no time to be president, you can just tell him he's probably a lazy guy. You can do both. No question about that. You don't have to have experience in humanitarian services. You just need to have a big heart and a willingness to work. And you must have resolve. I had resolve. I was determined that I will make use of every club member to make up for the lapses or the weaknesses that I had. I do that even now. I have realized as president of Rotary International, I have very limited brains. And I have no fault, I have no qualms about saying that. I'm not a very clever guy. But what I have done is I've surrounded myself with some very clever people. My International Assembly moderator, my convention chair, my aides, some of my chairmen, they're all absolutely brilliant people. And I've learned that you do the work, I get the credit. So it works very well. So pick some good people in your club and use all the resources your club has. Take the inventory of your members. Put down for each person, this fellow is going to give me something, this lady is going to give me something. It could be a bottle of whiskey, it could be a car for a project, it could be 5,000 pesos, 50,000 pesos. It could be anything, it could be a free lunch for the youth exchange students who come, it could be hosting someone. You find out every single person can give you something. You only have to find out what is the key to open his heart, and you have to go there personally to his house and talk to him. He will never refuse you. 99% will say yes. When the president goes to the house and say, you have to do this for me, and it is something he can do. If you go and ask him and give me $1 million pesos, he might say no. But if you go and tell him, look, you've got 3 rooms in your house, I want you to host one youth exchange student or one of those exchange people for 3 days, he won't say no, he'll do it for you. If he says that if you go to a person who runs a company and says, I want 3 of your vehicles for this project on this weekend, can you arrange it? He'll say yes. Find out what is the key which unlocks each person and go there and ask them. So you see, you already have made a big choice. You made a choice to be president. Now I'm asking you to make a second choice. What are you going to do with your role as president? I'm going to ask you to choose to do the most you can do, the maximum you can do to make this gift that you have got in your year in office and translate this gift to your club and make this year the best your club has ever had. And it relies on you. You can do this. I'm going to ask you even more than that. I'm going to ask you not only to give a gift to your club of your leadership, I'm going to ask you to be a gift yourself. You be that gift your club never had. A gift your club then becomes a gift that your club then gives to your country, to your community, as we have done in Sri Lanka. Rotary is a gift to Sri Lanka. The government calls us when they have a problem. After the tsunami, they called all the NGOs there and they asked us to do a presentation to them to show how a project must be done and say, see what these people have done. I was personally invited by the president to run the measles campaign, and I had to tell her that, I'm not a professional campaign runner. I did polio and I'm done. We are a gift, and I want you to be a gift to your community. I want you to be a gift to your country, and I want you to be a gift to the world. and you can be that. You see, we are just mere mortals. We come, we live, we go. Sometimes I'm very amused when siblings fight for $500, fight over 6 feet of land. They don't understand that tonight you might be dead, but tomorrow you could be dead. It's only a matter of time. Tonight, tomorrow, 1 month, 1 year, 10 years, 20 years. It's a matter of time. So are you thinking of what you're going to do in your lifetime? Or as Ravi Inspirational, the Nobel laureate from India, he wrote the Indian national anthem, when he said, you can be stringing and unstringing your guitar, but the song you came to sing remains unsung. Are you going to sing your song? Or are you going to go away saying, this is what I should have sung, but I never sang it? And I can see all of you are very good singers. So I see no reason why you can't. So what will it take? What will it take for you to answer to me and say, every hour, every day, every year of my life is a gift. It's fleeting, it's precious, it's irreplaceable, but it's a gift. And at the end of the lives, we are not going to sit back and say, what did I do with my life? We all come to the end of our life. And when you pass on, are you going to say, are you going to, if the last call should leave, so what has the world achieved because I lived? Or are you going to say, that when I passed from this earth, when I was president of my club, I got them to do this. At least so many people benefited because I passed through this earth. And that choice is yours. You have only one chance at your life, one chance to be president of your club in 2015, 2016. Are you going to grab that? The time is short. Only 366 days and 1 extra second next year. It's called the leap second. July 1st, they also move the clocks 1 second. And it happens, I don't know, once in so many decades. 366 days and 1 second, my friends. You have 1 more second and 1 more day than most presidents. What are you going to do with this? Our greatest challenge from a corporate style, of course, is eradication of polio. You see, when we started, we had 125 countries. We had 1,000 cases a day. Today we are down to 3 countries. And we had a total of 250 or 300 cases during the whole year. And most of it is in Pakistan. People ask me, should we go on with this polio? We are still not finishing it. And I want to tell them the reason why we are not done with it is not because we don't have the ability to do that. In fact, we should have done it long ago. The biggest problem was going to be India. It had the greatest challenges that we would face, and we overcame India. The problem is we are being obstructed in Pakistan. We are being stopped. People are sabotaging us. And that is the reason why we are held up. You see, the Taliban in Pakistan is really obstructing us for their own reasons. They have some reasons, which only they can understand. They are angry with the Americans. So you have a situation where they're saying, all right, one way of teaching the Americans a lesson is by stopping these vaccinations. So they have a child. I saw a documentary where a Taliban man is holding a child up, child with limp legs, and saying, my child is a martyr. She's got polio. But she's a martyr because through this child we'll re-export the polio back to America. You can see how ignorant they are. You can see how mad their thinking is. But you see, we did not think that at the end of 25 years we will come to this. We had faith, the people had faith in us. They had dedication, they trusted us, they gave us millions. They continue to give us this money. So we are not going to let them down. We are not going to be brought low by so lowly an opponent as the Taliban. We will battle on, and I can tell you, we will prevail. We will prevail because the future without polio, A future where children will no longer be crawling on the streets because their leg doesn't work. A future where the iron lungs go into museums is something we promised the children of the world and the next generation. And we shall keep that promise. It's up to us as Rotarians to do that. This is a gift we will give the world. It's a gift that we promised and we must keep. We know Rotary's potential. You know it better than I. Rotary clubs are the ones who deliver for Rotary. It's not the president of Rotary. It's not the director of Rotary. It's not even the governors of Rotary. Rotary is not made in the boardrooms of Evanston. Rotary is made in your clubs. You manufacture Rotary there, the projects that you do. So we rely on you. But you're also dealing with the vagaries of the human mind in your clubs. Every member is precious, but he also has his own compulsions. And your skill is in being able to draw him out to do this work for you. You see, all of us successful people have busy schedules. It's only a lazy man who is sitting at home doing nothing. Everyone has a schedule. And they all have competing priorities. To lead successfully, you need to be able to balance their ambitions. You need to convince them, as I'm convincing you, and say you can do this, you can also do that. That is the realism of things. We cannot say give up all your work and come into Rotary. They won't do that, and it would be unfair to do that. I can tell you that if I neglected my family, or one of you neglected your family, I would say what sort of a gift is that as a father, as a husband? The family comes first. It doesn't mean that you can't do Rotary, because you benefit from Rotary, but that's another story. You see, I want you to raise money for the foundation. That's your job. Governors will ask you, I will ask you. You must ask your members. But at the same time, you cannot do it so insistently all the time, again and again, and try and get it from the same person, because you get fed up with it. So it's a balance. We want you to bring in young members, but we don't want you to discard the older members, they who are mainstay today of Rotary. We want you to go and look for these members who are in middle age, who are just leaving their jobs, who got a good 20 years ahead of them. So it's a balance. Young members, middle-aged members, older members, you need all of them. You need the youthfulness of one, the wisdom of another, and the maturity of the third. You need to encourage your members to participate in district functions like this. All of them may not come. And you have too many district functions, they're going to get tired of it. So you need to balance this off. Now, I have no answers for this, and these answers vary from country to country, region to region, town to town, community to community. You know better than I do what moves your club. You are the eyes and the ears of this community, of this city, of this district. You know your club's needs. You know what you have on offer from your members. You will not ask the 80-year-old man to come and walk with you street to street, raising money or doing vaccines. So you need to know what you're going to ask. You bring together what Rotary is, what it could be, and you are the one who's going to take it forward. That's why this president is such a critical job, the president-elect. You are the key, you are the most important person in the Rotary world next year. It's not me. Think of this. All of us, you and I, have been given so many gifts in our lives. Just think of it. Your families, your marriage, your children, your good health, your money, your motor cars, your office, your friends, the abilities that you are born with, like the ability to sing, to run, and do natural things, and the abilities you cultivated. To speak like this. The first speech I ever made was at my installation as president of my club. You're going to make a lot of speeches from now. These are the gifts that you're going to get from Rotary. Now you have been given above all this gift, in my view, the greatest gift, and that is the opportunity to lead others, to understand, give you a chance to return this gift. So you can decide whether you're going to keep the gift or you're going to return it. You have a choice, like Martin Luther King said, whether we walk in the light of creative selflessness or we walk in the darkness of destructive selfishness. So the choice before is selflessness, selfishness. So are you going to keep the gift yourself or are you going to return it? And I say to you, use your gift. Use it thoughtfully. Use it wisely. Use it generously. And you can do all these things. Use them to get the girls who sit at home to walk proudly next year to school. Use them to go to find the fields which are barren because there was no irrigation, and let them grow next spring green with agriculture. Use them to break the cycle of poverty, lift up the destitutes, and give the gift of hope to those who are mired in the margins of society. Use them. All of you have been given so many gifts. And as I said, now you have the greatest gift, 1 year, to take all your talents, everything that you are and can be, and be a gift to the world. About 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago, I was visiting a hospital built in Colombo, in outstation, about 3 hours out, with Rotary money, German money, Rotary Sri Lanka, 20 German Rotary clubs, Helmut Kohl Foundation of Germany. We built a beautiful women's hospital, maternity home, with a lovely intensive care ward, maybe one of the best in Sri Lanka now. Gifted all the equipment that is necessary. And as I was walking with Chairman D.K. Lee, we walked through the hospital, very pleased with what we saw. And we came to this intensive care unit, where we saw 9 incubators, each one with a child. Each one with a child whose face was all, covered up, tubes running all over the place. And by chance, I was near the one in the middle, where DK, and we had to wear various things around us to protect, protect those children, I guess. And I see this child, 900 grams, but I feel it into the palm of my hands, struggling to breathe, fighting to stay alive. And I told myself, fight, baby, fight. There's a wide world out there. We need you. I said, your parents couldn't afford to look after you, but we can. The baby is surviving because of all what we gave. It was our gift of life virtually, that child. And I went off. And then I went back to the hospital about a month ago. And I went there with another team. And this time when I walked into this intensive care unit, there were only 2 of those incubators filled, the others were empty. In the last 1 year, they told me that infant deaths had come to 0 after we entered the hospital. And so when I was standing near one of those incubators and I looked out behind the glass, I saw a young couple. And I looked at them and I did this and questioned, because they're far away. I asked them, is this your child? They nodded their heads. So I said, the child is good, don't worry. And then as I came out, there were lots of others waiting there to meet me, and then there was this lady with a child of about 1.5 years. Sweet kid, girl. So I picked up the kid, smiled, played a little bit, sat down with her on my lap, and they took some pictures. And I told the mother, was the child born here? She said, no, Dad. Then a doctor came to me and said, President-elect Ravindran, you remember the child you were talking about in the incubator? This is that child. Gift of life, gift to the world. So you have 1 year to take all your potential and turn it to reality. You have 1 year to lead your clubs, transform the lives of others. You have 1 year to build monuments that will endure forever. not carved in granite or marble, but carved in the lives of hearts for generations to come. This is our time, yours and mine. Let's grasp it. Let's not let it go. Let's be a gift to the world. Thank you.